So many insane films in that block. So inspiring. Let's can we bring up just all things Four Down? You guys come up. I believe Queen of the Breaks. I know if I'm leaving out a director, I know Going Greenland. Or we have Eric, I believe. So everyone come up on here. We're gonna see what we can do here. Yeah. Wow. The only crew rolling deeper than you guys today was our forward film. They ran deep. It was like 25 deep. It's like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm missing anybody, please. I'm sorry. It's a lot of people. Matt. I'm sorry. Matt Costa. Everybody. Matt, come on up. Yeah. Catabatic Flight, we just saw. And hopefully some of you got to see Matt perform out on the stage earlier today. Thank you, by the way. That was.
You're welcome.
Matt is a Laguna native as well, or Laguna local. And it's always such a treat. I know you played last year, and what's so cool about Matt's experience as a musician and then going full circle and then jumping and becoming a filmmaker via with Rourke, and it's blossoming, is it not? Can you talk about the genesis of musically and then becoming a filmmaker?
Well, yeah, I think that music is very visual. By the way, this is my friend Brian Davis right here. He was the editor on our film too. So, but yeah, I think it's very visual. But I have to say, I really appreciate Four Down, and also too the beginning for me of like music and visual stuff was skateboarding. So when I saw like music to skateboard videos, it all made sense to me, and that was like when I was like 9 years old. So I think that's a big catalyst, and I think that all the films here, like every single one that I've seen throughout the years, inspire positive change, and so I'm just real happy to be here and be a part of that. Yeah.
And I have to ask, just the relationship between editor and the creative force. Did you guys clash? Did you see eye to eye? Maybe you could talk about real quickly what the editing was like. And I've heard Matt is really difficult. No, I have not.
Matt's the hardest person to work with in the world. No, Matt and I have worked together on a few projects in the past, and I think we gel well and kind of have a similar taste in things. And so it was just a fun, creative process. Like, Matt just kind of had this idea to make this film, and yeah, it was just fun to get to kind of work on it and put it together. And it was his vision, but just like getting to work with his music, and our friend Kelly did a beautiful job with the cinematography, and I don't know, it's just a deeper thinking piece, but I think everyone can really appreciate and take something from it. So.
And we hope for more collaborations. I'll just say that. I know we were kind of joking the other day. Is like as soon as you finish your one project, everyone's, so what's next? Right, exactly. What's next? Can we? Yeah, let's just talk.
I suppose we already on next.
Okay. So with so many of the films that we've seen, we talk about how the stories, found the producers and the directors. Maybe you could talk about like the origin of story and your experience.
Well, I'm not with Four Down, but I do love them all.
You have a Gary experience. Let's just
yes. Okay, so wait, can you repeat that one more time?
Just in terms of the impetus and like the story finding you, or you finding the story, just talk about that experience.
Ooh, okay. I love finding stories from just the people that I surround myself with. So I directed Queens of the Break, and I found. Yeah, thank you guys.
Come on, baby. Come on.
All the women out there.
Yeah. Yes. So I found this group of women because one of my really good friends, her mom was just a huge fan of like a film that I did in the past with Haley over here called Stoke Chasers, and her mom was such a big supporter. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And so Miranda, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I want to make a film about you. And she was like, I need it to be my whole group of friends. So I think like stories just kind of find you that way sometimes, where it's just my friend's mom and like her whole group of friends, and it was just like arm's length, So, yeah.
It was very honest and unapologetic in its approach. I really loved it. So I'm going to dig in. We'll maybe end on all the 4 down. But Eric, yeah, I just want to. By the way, where are the other mics? What happened? Oh, you do. Okay, you have one. Can we turn on all the mics? Here we go. Okay. I know. I told you this was going to be a little chaotic. Here you go. By the way, so oddly enough, I was lucky enough to take an Iceland trip with Burks, Rachel Burks. Yeah, and it's one of those things like when you bring a character like that. I was just when I watch the film and I just start laughing. But maybe just talk about. I think initially an idea like that seems incredible, but then the challenges, going through it a little bit more difficult. Right? Like in concept is one thing, and then doing it another, right?
Yeah, well, we showed up, and is this mic working? I can't tell.
You guys,
Sweet.
okay?
Yeah. When we showed up, I wasn't exactly totally aware the boat didn't have a normal gas engine. I showed up thinking it had a gas engine. So it was all pretty much a huge surprise for me from the beginning. So immediately getting on the boat, the problem with that was basically anytime the weather was good to ski, it was also the time we had to sail. So that meant we were skiing all day and then sailing all night. So we didn't sleep for like 4 days at a time. So having someone like Burks was pretty key, because when you're puking everywhere, she still had a smile on her face.
She can make throwing up seem funny.
Yeah,
which we did. We drank a lot of Brennivin in Iceland and fermented shark. So there was a lot of throwing up.
She was the only one that
Long story.
having more fun than the rest of us, that's for sure. But
and maybe you can share a little bit about the team. I know all these things are such collaborative efforts. Feel free to give props and maybe talk about the assemblage of the team.
yeah, so it was Rachel and Jess. They put the team together, and it's basically the boat captain, Ben, and then it was just me, the cinematographer, and my friend Sophie, the photographer. So we shot and climbed and edited the whole thing together. And it was, I've definitely, Rachel and Jess are owed all the thanks for making it all happen, and Ben for having the vision to putting the boat together.
Yeah.
He's the only solar or the only electric expedition sailboat on the face of the planet, and it's definitely the first one, as you can tell.
And tell me, I don't want to make. I'm sure I'm skipping anybody. Just sorry.
I'm Seth. I'm the producer, writer, amongst a few things on Swirl Effect.
Yes.
Yeah. Fun to be here.
Well.
Yeah. But those community stories are amazing because you tend to be amongst them more or less as friends or doing things, and you're watching it grow, and it's awesome just to support them when that kind of is happening on its own. And then later I got asked by Gabe, who'd been filming with them. He's the director. He'd been filming with them for about 5 years. And maybe he'd seen something else I'd made or something. I'm not actually sure why he asked me to join in, but it became a really great year-long process of honing down really what the girls wanted to sort of say and what their story was, and how the community of skateboarding in Venice was part of that, and what they'd done to it. So
we were just talking about the early days of Venice, or the somewhat early days. It's transitioned a lot. It's gotten Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's I'd love to ask you you talk about the year, kind of diving into it. What's your biggest takeaway from the process, or your kind of aha moment, learning experience from being a filmmaker with this?
Everyone has a story to tell, and not everyone necessarily knows what the gem of that story is, and you have to listen, and it becomes a conversation to check in with them to make sure, is what I'm interpreting what you're saying really what you're trying to say? And that has become when you sort of discover that you personally have a little bit of a power to you feel good whenever anyone who makes art, when you're feeling wow, this is making something, and everyone else around you is responding in kind, that yeah, you're hearing me, you're seeing this, you shot that in a way I'd never seen it before. That's exactly how I feel too. That connection of oh yeah, we both get this without really having to speak too much about it. That kind of connection, that's what comes across when you are getting to make these stories with friends. So that was it.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of cinema simpatico with so many of these stories. They're different, but they connect in such a similar way. Can I ask you just about your journey with working with the film, and what the experience was like for you?
Me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Steve Barilotti, and I wrote and directed the first film, the very one at the very top. And I got to say, number one, I am really lifted by the room here. I feel like I'm sort of like the saltine cracker at the top of a 20-course.
But you're not salty. You're not a salty. I mean, in surf, we all know, Steve, like he knows the sport, lives and breathes it. You're not salty, so that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in a previous life, I was an editor at Surfer Magazine, and that's where I was introduced to Rick Griffin. He actually went back before that when I was sneaking copies of Zap Magazine into my room, and I would see his artwork, and it blew my mind. It changed. He was transformational in so many ways. And when I learned more and more about his story, that this guy was that guy who did that art, basically anytime you pick up a Rolling Stone magazine, look at the logo.
He defined, it's safe to say he defined an era, and it was crazy, and I know you know the stories where they would find his art in an old apartment, and they went in and would have to cut the drywall out to save the art. I mean, he's one of those artists, it was like, starving at points, but it didn't even faze him, right? Yeah.
You know, I'm terrible at elevator pitches.
Okay.
But basically, Rick came out of post-World War II Southern California, which I think is sort of like the petri dish for everything cool in the world, and which was really inspiring to see so many of these films that are based in California, in Southern California, and. About 20 years ago, after seeing Dogtown and Z-Boys, I was so inspired by Stacy's story and how he told it that I thought if they could do a story about the Z-Boys and surfing and skate, then Rick's story was equally valid on so many things. I mean, he's a game changer on a global scale. And I suffered a vision, and here we are 20 years later. I'm still trying to make the feature film. But in the meantime, I've met so many people. I've had this journey, and we were able to do this short. And I thought, well, if we can't do the whole film, let's do an appetizer. Let's just, I can wrap my head around one part of the story, and that's what we did. And I hope some of you who saw it enjoyed it. And thank you very much.
Fingers crossed. It was solid. I grew up with him, with your words, and Surfer, and Maynard and the Rat. I'll go down the list. I was weaned on Surfer Magazine. So we hope that's the seedling, and then comes the. So stay with it, please. Promise us.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get all things 4 down. What did you guys think of 4 down, by the way? That last one. So. Currently, we showed the movie initially last night in the outdoor theater. You weren't in the house last night, but we had a nice conversation about just the area that 4 Down is in and what it's evolved. Maybe you can speak to like what it started as and what it's become and what it means to the community.
Okay, from my little okay, basically we just a skateboard, and literally we just technically. When COVID hit, we wasn't even caring about it. But we was just like, we just want to be with our friends. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. So we could keep it.
A little bit, yeah. You went a little deeper, but it's okay.
We want to keep it with our friends. So at the same time, at the end of the day, so we didn't even care. So it was like, we wanted to support our friends. Rob was a super. You know what I mean?
So we didn't really have a chance to get into the details, but where was the spark where, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to start with? Where did that happen? Where and when did it happen?
Check. That started with me just wanting to, do I even want to participate in this culture, be on this earth with you people? Just looking at this world like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be involved with this. So, as Kareem often says, like, we're culture free. We decide, we dictate our culture. We lead what we want. We have the attitudes and values that are true to us. So, in a weird world that's increasingly bizarre, we're just trying to behave in some way. It's crazy in a world where you have to look to actions for like skateboarders to look for like what's decent. But we're in the South.
Yeah, but we talked about this. It's not the sport. It's not about skateboarding. It's that skateboarding is. It's just that it's that connective tissue that gets us in, and the story, which you were mentioning earlier, just how fortunate, because we both love skateboarding, but to be gifted two incredible stories. Anwar last year, one of my favorite films. If you guys haven't seen it, go find it. It's incredible, about this small village in India. Janwar. Oh, yeah, Janwar.
Yeah, come on,
And-
come on, smoke on it. Speak on it.
But
Jaguar was a good.
yeah.
Speak on it. Come on.
But it's incredible when you see the spark of these kids that have nothing, and skateboarding is their source of inspiration. It's their source of happiness and connection. But I'll get to the point. It's like you were talking about how just, I would say, just grateful you are that you've been gifted these two incredible stories, and skateboarding's the vehicle, right?
Yeah, for sure. We don't always get to make films like this. You know, as a career filmmaker, we work on a lot of projects over the course of the year, over the course of the decade, over the course of your career, and so when the
1 second.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's amazing, though. I promise you, he's amazing. I mean, he's like literally like diminishing stuff. Like, he's amazing.
thanks, Chris.
We've seen the work. We've made an assessment. And I'm going to say
I just want to make sure
Yeah.
we gonna set it.
he's right here. Amazing.
After that,
Well-
you gotta worry about me.
Okay.
I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, I feel super lucky. Like, I mean,
No.
I feel like I'm as an environmentalist, as a filmmaker, as a skateboarder at heart. I grew up skateboarding. For a project like this to come on, I mean, it just like checks every box. Intellectually, spiritually, I was just so stoked, and so
You taught
yeah.
us so much. You
Oh,
taught us.
I appreciate that.
And that's the key.
Yeah,
You taught us a lot.
thanks. Well,
Don't forget he's amazing. Don't
no, I
forget.
mean, you know,
It's already there.
Okay.
the,
Taught us a lot.
All right. Okay.
I got to deal with two of them. I got two of them. So I got realize I got Rob and I got him. So I was like, you know what I mean? Amazing. And
You got a full plate, is what you're saying. You got a full plate.
no, I'll just say that.
Campbell, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Kareem.
They'll be performing all night at the Coast Film and Music Festival. There you go. I'm sorry. Continue. We'll wrap it up.
I would just say that for myself, and I probably speak for most of the filmmakers up here, all the filmmakers, you know, we make these films and we try to be, you know, a conduit through which someone else's story can flow. And obviously, we're not objective. We care. We choose these stories because we love the people and we love the culture. But these films, they have a lot of impact on us as filmmakers. They change us every time we embark on this journey. We come out the other end somebody different, and I think the film impacts the people that it's about too. I'm sure this has had an impact on Rob and Zion and everybody at the park, and so. Yeah, film's a trippy medium. It's the most emotive art form that I think we have to work with. We have so many little levers that we can twist to change the way people feel and think about things. And so, yeah, I feel super lucky to be here at Coast and to get to make this movie and just to make a skate film at this point in my life is so rad. Yeah. So
family,
thank you.
family. Love.
Okay. It's a love fest. Everyone hug.
Come on. Wait up.
We have a saying here at Coast Film and Music. Come curious. Leave inspired. Let's get in here.
Come on, man.